Ah, Lil Wayne. If you're a millennial, you've been acquainted with this guy all the way back to the turn of the century when he dropped legendary bars such as this.
Drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. CMP, make you drop it like it's hot.
Yes, Lil Wayne and his music was a major fixture in my adolescent coming of age. It doesn't mean I liked it, but everyone else around me sure did. As a teenager, the same emo kids who were putting Fall Out Boy and MCR on their mix CDs were also bumping Lil Wayne's music. I feel like perhaps Wayne was so seduced by the emo music that he himself felt compelled to do a, wait for it, genre pivot. Lil Wayne made a rock album. Yes, Lil Wayne's 2010 album Rebirth was a somewhat honest-to-goodness attempt at making a rock record. Stick around as we dive into another artistic embarrassment. This is Dancing with Ghosts. Yep, this is the video I remember seeing many years ago. This is MTV's Spring Break 2009, and Lil Wayne was premiering a song that would be featured on his upcoming album, Rebirth. As a guitar player, I remember feeling really annoyed and offended by the hubris of this guy. Here he was, fresh off the heels of The Carter 3, a record that sold over 8 million copies in the US alone, now thinking he can conquer the rock world as well.
I mean, how hard could it be?
Yeah, see, that's the problem with attempting a genre where playing a musical instrument is vital. You actually have to be able to play the instrument. Wayne is rocking his guitar not only on the cover of the album, but he's playing it live, or wait, he plays it for the opening bit and then never really touches it again. Still better than when Fred Durst tried to play a guitar solo, though.
Shag my friends tonight!
What the fuck was that? Anyway, Lil Wayne is posing as some kind of rock star even in the videos. Wait, why are the guys from Korn Lil Wayne's backup band? I don't know, maybe Wayne got the inspiration from Korn's Twisted Transistor music video where a bunch of rappers portray the band members.
Play life when no one understands you, but don't.
The music in the 2000s, what a time to be alive, am I right? Yeah, alright. For those of you who may not know, Lil Wayne often comes up in the conversation for greatest rapper of all time. Wayne was signed to Cash Money Records at age 11. I was wondering why my pee-pee was starting to get tingly when I stared at girls' chests at age 11, and Lil Wayne was getting his first record deal. Great. This is already making me feel just great. Wayne got partnered up with fellow label mates BG, Juvenile, and Turk to form the group Hot Boys. They had one single I actually remember. It was played on this music video channel called The Box. The song was called Bling Bling, and I still remember the line, "Every time I come into your city, bling bling." I guess this is how rappers dance.
Every time I come around your city, bling bling. Pinky ring with about bitty bling bling.
The Hot Boys eventually all went their separate ways, but would still feature on each other's songs. That's where most people, my age at least, first heard Lil Wayne in the aforementioned Back Dat Ass Up. It feels really weird saying aforementioned and Back Dat Ass Up in the same sentence. It's like two different languages going on there. Wayne finally dropped his own solo record, The Block is Hot, in 1999, and honestly guys, long story short, he's been a fucking resounding success ever since. Especially with any album that bears his last name attached to it. Apparently midway into his career though, Lil Wayne got tired of being so goddamn successful, so he found a way to sabotage his own career. That's the only logical sense why he would have made this 2010 album Rebirth. Let's start out with the first track, American Star. The album opens up with a very rock-oriented feel, with all the instruments just ringing out as if they've just finished the end of an epic concert, and then the singing comes in.
Born and raised in the USA, by way of New Orleans where the killers stay.
Now, the first thing I notice is the huge volume disparity between Lil Wayne's voice and the rest of the instrumentals. Good God, I haven't heard a mix this unbalanced since the last few Smashing Pumpkins albums. His voice is so much louder than any of the music, which I find distracting and irritating since Lil Wayne can't sing. One of the big complaints about this album is the sickening sickeningly thick use of autotune. It's so obnoxious, and it's on almost every fucking track.
Down and rain in the USA, where the government's watching what you do and say.
Kanye West 808s and Heartbreaks, eat your heart out, baby. This track, American Star, featured the singer Chanel, and she's used several times on this record, including this track. I'd never heard of her, so I looked her up, and it seems like she was yet another artist who got the cosign from Lil Wayne, but whose career never really took off. There'll be another one of those artists on this record later on. You just wait. The next song, Prom Queen, was supposed to be the big single that was supposed to captivate the world with Wayne's ability to rock. I will admit the instrumental is pretty decent, but they used the same fucking guitar riff throughout the entire song. It's such a basic guitar riff that I wouldn't even consider using this riff in my band, and we're nobodies! It took me all of 10 seconds to figure out how to play this riff. Yeah, it's like three minutes of that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with simple riffs, but when it's this repetitive, the shit gets old. Pair that with Lil Wayne's god-awful prom queen chorus and the ear-grating autotune, and you have a very punishing song to have to listen to.
Walk on air, show me to the edge and I walk off there. We ain't high enough, au contraire.
Up next, we have the song Ground Zero, where the drums sound more real on this song. They don't mix the drums for a rap audience here. They actually have a more natural sound to them. All the drum tones thus far have sounded highly produced with way more bass in the kick drum than necessary. It's like they thought they could make this amazing crossover record if they could make it feel like a hip-hop record, but sound like rock. Up next, we have the song Da Da Da. Oh, I wonder if it'll be a cover of this song.
Da da da. Da da da.
No, it wasn't. Well, that auto-tune is back in full force just in case you missed it. This song is like, I don't know, it could have been decent, but the musical ideas were just like all over the place, and then of course there's the awful vocals. Up next we have Paradise, but dice is spelled like a pair of dice, D-I-C-E. Oh, man. He truly is the wordsmith of a generation.
She was a young girl in pursuit of glory and fame.
And the auto-tune is back, and it's so damn warbly on this song. It's fucking awful. I'm so glad I don't have to hear this effect all over the radio anymore. I mean, not like I listen to the radio anyway, but yeah, rappers used to use this effect so much from like 2007 until, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. They finally dialed it the fuck back. The singing on the chorus of this song is just punishing to my eardrums.
Oh no, this ain't paradise. Oh no, this.
Also, he really likes making these hideous retching sounds all over this record, and it's very off-putting. He's like, like, is that him? Is that like the Lil Wayne stamp of approval? Is that like his brand is making this? I'm going back in. It's bad. Next track, Get a Life.
I'm just trying to get my own. I'm up early in the morning, getting it by all means. Gotta get.
And oh God, was this some kind of 60s pop inspired funk rock thing? This song is just purely obnoxious, and why do you think that is?
Well, if you guess Lil Wayne's vocals, you win.
You go straight to Hollywood.
Mama, bye.
The next track, On Fire, this song starts with a pretty interesting 80s synth rock fake out before interpolating into an interesting synth rock driven hip hop instrumental. Try saying that sentence 5 times fast. Wayne's vocals are soaked in effects, such as the aforementioned auto-tune, but also on this track there's heavy echo on the vocals, which is rather disorienting and unnecessary. It's weird to hear these epic sounding 80s guitars in the background of a mix in favor of super loud drums and vocals. Typically, a song like this, the guitars would be much louder. By the time we get to this song, I feel like the album is already floating away from the promise of this being a rock record. You realize in rock music, the electric guitar is supposed to be front and center in the mix, right? For the most part. Not in the background as just a texture layer.
Pick the world up and I'ma drop it on your head. Yeah.
Up next, we get the song Drop the World. Wayne's gone full rap mode on this song, seemingly ditching the rock and roll until the chorus kicks in, which musically is pretty epic, but the lyrics are so awful. Bitch, I'ma pick the world up and drop it on your fucking head. Drop it on your fucking head. Drop the World debuts the record's first big celeb feature, Eminem.
But I never show this pain, you'll never know. If only you could see just how lonely and how cold.
By the time M comes in, it's clear he's in that I must sing every hook on my album phase, so he's doing the whole octave stacking thing he loves to do, in which he sings a low melody and then a high melody, an octave above.
'Cause some things just don't change. It's better when they stay the same, although the whole world knows their names.
Which I guess is M's trick to avoid people scrutinizing his singing ability too much. I mean, this is an okay technique to use. My band has used it in a song or two, but this is literally the only trick M has in his singing book. So it gets way overused way quick with him. M's bars in this song have picked up that jagged flow that he would come to love so much in the coming years. This was a weak feature on a weak song. On this next song, Runnin', we get the featured singer Chanel, who really gets to let loose vocally. What's crazy is when I looked up her other stuff on Spotify, she's actually an R&B singer, but damn, apparently she can do both.
Somebody tell me where's it gone?
She has a pretty impressive set of pipes, although I would have probably EQ'd the highs in her vocal mix a little bit lower because they are mildly ear-piercing, which I believe is more of a mixed thing rather than her actual vocals. But I mean, yeah, whenever she's singing and then there's the rock accompaniment in the background, it actually sounds like a modern rock song with an actual singer. Chanel, maybe you should have just stuck to rock. The next song, One Way Trip, here's another song with a feature. I guess he saved them all for the end of the record for some reason. This time it's Kevin Rudolph. You know, the guy who had that one decent song in 2008, Let It Rock.
I see your dirty face hide behind your collar. What is the...
As a matter of fact, Lil Wayne rapped on that song. I guess the Kevmeister had to return the favor. Kevin Rudolph is yet another artist who sadly received no signal boost from a Lil Wayne cosign outside of his one big hit. Kevin's vocals on this track really don't add much since there's so much distortion and processing on his voice that you can barely tell it's him, which is unfortunate because the dude sounded great on Let It Rock. I was kind of surprised we never heard anything else from him after that one song. Lil Wayne shouts out Travis Barker multiple times in this song as Travis is playing drums on the track, but surprisingly, he had nothing to do with the next song, Knockout, which sounds like a direct Blink-182 ripoff. One Way Trip was the only song Travis Barker had anything to do with. I guess this was before Travi became the Don Juan of pop-punk producers that he is now. So about this next song, Knockout, it features an, at the time, fairly unknown singer and rapper named Nicki Minaj, spawning one of the first of many collaborations the pair would have in the future, which would go on to yield huge success for Wayne's 5.2 protege. She's really short. As I stated earlier, this song is so derivative of a Blink-182 song, it's not even funny. Maybe that's why Lil Wayne and Blink-182 went on tour together. Only to have Lil Wayne threaten to leave the tour 9 shows in because ticket sales were such shit. This was also at the time when Matt Skiba was playing the role of Tom DeLonge. In Knockout, Lil Wayne is doing his typical obnoxious, auto-tuned groans, retches, and squeaks, but it's particularly annoying and obvious on this track, more so than the others. Hell, Nicki Minaj even jumps in on the bad auto-tune action towards the middle of the song.
Give me that bucket, but when I throw this, you better not start ducking.
The final track on this record, The Price Is Wrong. At this point, it sounds like Lil Wayne is just making fun of rock music at this point.
She stole my heart, she ran away. Now I'm heartless, so fuck her anyway. We got...
I guess since this is the last song, Lil Wayne was like, fuck it, disengage the auto-tune. I want to show people what I can really do. To disastrous results. There's some decent guitar and bass tones on this track, and if a legitimate punk singer or rock singer had been on the track, it might have been decent. It's fairly tricky to pin down who exactly played on this album. According to good old Wikipedia, it was just a bunch of producer teams. Normally, if you're looking up an album that has actual instruments being played, Wikipedia will have them listed under the personnel section. All it shows here is a bunch of names of people from the record company. Someone had to write this shit. Instrumentally, it wasn't that bad. I wish I could give the musicians a shout out who laid down the actual tracks. This is about as corporate of a rock record as it gets. Like, they couldn't even list the fucking musicians who played the music. Nope. It was all about Wayne. That's why his vocals are 10 decibels higher than anything else in the mix. That's why it's only him on the album cover with a guitar that he barely knows how to play. That's why when this album performed worse than any of his other albums, he dropped the rock genre like a bad habit and released the Carter 4 the next year to resounding success. Rock music to Lil Wayne was merely a passing phase that he just had to get out of his system. Much like Machine Gun Kelly or even Garth Brooks. As much as it may annoy hip-hop heads whenever dudes from other genres will attempt rap music without having any real respect for it, the same can be said when a rapper attempts to make a rock record without any respect for the genre. Because honestly, were there any rock bands at that time, or even now, who were bathing all of their vocals in over-exaggerated auto-tune, not being able to play their instrument and having the studio musician do it for them, or mixing their vocals so high above the music that it's just background noise? Oh, well, actually, yes, on that last one, Billy Corgan totally did do that. The fact remains, Christopher Weingarten of The Village Voice said it best when reviewing the album, stating, Wayne's big problem is that he seems to like the idea of rock music more than any actual rock music itself. Bingo. So did you remember Lil Wayne's short-lived rock phase? Doesn't it just seem like some far-off fever dream? Like you remember seeing Lil Wayne on stage with a guitar, but you just chalked it up to a false memory? Because that's what I did until I delved deeper and learned the sad truth of this album's existence. As always, let me know what you think about all this in the comments below, and until next time, have a good rest of your night.